Manx Radio's 1 to 3, tended by Ramsey Garden Centre. Pick up your new all-season loyalty card in-store today and start collecting reward points.
I have a studio guest. I have Ron Spencer with me. Good afternoon, Faster My Ron.
Good afternoon.
How are we?
We're very well, thank you.
It's lovely to have you back up at the station. I've just been chatting in the background about the many, many different strings to your bow. You get involved in lots of wonderful things, don't you?
Most of the strings are a bit overstretched now, sadly.
Not at all. Well, we're talking today about the Diana Princess of Wales Trust, which is something you've been very involved with for some time, isn't it? Just remind people about the trust itself.
Okay, so the trust was started by Nadine back in the day.
This is Nadine Crowther.
When we had the lovely St Bridget's Hospice, and Ali and Don Westacott, bless them, were terribly fond of Diana. When she was killed, they wanted to set something up in her name, so they settled at £250,000, and we are one of only 3 charities that have the name Diana associated with it. And back in the day, I wrote to the princes, but they were far too busy, sadly, to be our patron. So that's how it started. And so, and it was set up because in the early days, looking after people in their home was really unusual. Mm-hmm. And most people want to die at home, but most of us die in hospital. And so we set up this charity to fund the hospice at home nurses. And we had some wonderful nurses, and as the service has grown, so the number of the team have grown too. And
it's a wonderful thing. And if you want to find out more, we have had these guys as Charity of the Week previously. So if you go to manxradio.com and search for Charity of the Week, you will find Diana Princess of Wales Trust on there. But one of the ways that you're raising money is Warden's Walks. So tell us a little bit about Warden's Walks. Where did this start and what actually is it?
Well, it started some years ago. Johnny Kipps is a fantastic South African fell runner, end-to-end cyclist, and I'm fairly indolent. And so Johnny said, why don't we do a couple of summer walks? And dear James, held the first auction for us at Nyarble. And I said to Johnny, it was just before the parish, so I said to Johnny, why don't we call it the Indolence Parish Walk? So if they walk from Port Erin to Nyarble, we'll charge them a tenner. If they park in the Nyarble car park, then we'll charge them 25 quid. So that was the kind of background. Johnny thought the Indolence Walk was not exactly what we wanted. So it became the Radnorfoilian Challenge. Mm-hmm. And so we did it, we've done it 4 times now. The first time we did it clockwise. The weather was almost, I know this sounds extraordinary, but the weather was almost always exceptionally good. The first evening we went...
I think you're making it up.
No, trust me. It was just amazing. Only one day was the weather poor, and we were walking from Laxey, and the weather was awful. But anyway, so the first event, we had 40-odd people come and join us. And we charged a tenner to register, and then £10 every leg. And the first time, that first series, we had over 100 people associated with us.
Fantastic.
But sadly, well, not heroically really, only 12 people walked every step of the way, and we gave them a certificate. Including Johnny's Jack Russell dog called Molly, and she walked every step of the way.
I love this. And you've actually handed this certificate over for me to have a look at, and it's a very fancy certificate for Molly Kipps, and it even has a little paw print on it at the bottom, which is just wonderful. Yeah. So well done to Molly and all of those that did complete the Radnorfoilian Walk that time. It's fantastic. But now you've sort of
anyway, just to finish then.
Oh, yes.
So we thought, well, what can we do as an encore? So we went anti-clockwise, and almost always the second year.
Which way is easier?
Clockwise, because you have the weather at your back.
Okay.
Anti-clockwise, almost always the weather was appalling. And Molly, Johnny, Juliet and I, we were walking along the coast at Kirkmichael into a sandstorm. It was so windy. Molly had her eyes shut, the dog. Johnny had one elbow of Juliet, I had the other, and we had head down, and we just walked into this sandstorm because we had to complete it too. I was determined to get my certificate.
Quite right too. And did you?
I did eventually, yeah. So we always recce'd the walk to make sure that it was still okay, it was safe. We were paranoid about the tide. Mm-hmm. We talked about the tide earlier. Twice a month it goes down to really low levels. Anyway, so we were always very conscious of the tide. But anyway, so we've done it 4 times now, 2 times clockwise, 2 times anti-clockwise. And what do we do next? So hence the Warden's Walks.
Well, I'm going to make you hold right there because we're going to find out more about these Warden Walks in just a few moments. So if you're someone who'd like to be doing something a little bit different this weekend, getting out and about and raising money for a fabulous charity, stay tuned. This is quite an appropriate song. Shed 7, Going for Gold. For a fabulous charity. We're talking to Ron Spencer from the Diana, Princess of Wales Trust, which raises money for the hospice at home nurses. And we're chatting about the Warden's Walks. So we've talked about the Radnor Walks, but they've sort of progressed into these Warden's Walks. There's 13 of them. Just explain them for us, Ron.
Okay, so you might say they have regressed because the Radnor-Follian's on everybody's bucket list. And a number of people you say, oh, gosh, I wish I'd have known because we'd have joined you. But anyway, so after 4 years, we've decided to make a change. And these walks were devised by a fabulous chap, Peter Knowles, who was a forestry warden in 2005, 2006. And wonderfully, he's joined us with them. So he's a forester and he knows so much about the forest. But the whole landscape. So he's been fascinating to have with us. And so he devised these walks, and they start fairly easily. They then become moderate. And as we go along to the 13th, they become strenuous. And so the last one is called the Hiker's Trail, which is about 17 miles. Now, we did it in 2 bits. And we always recce this walk. So we're now on walk number 5, which is Erie Stane. And Erie Bed. We did Erie Stane last time, and it's a fabulous walk. Starts from Glen Helen, goes over the bridge, up the hill, and it really is quite a hill. And you go past this lovely old ruin, which I look at these old ruins, I think, gosh, that's got potential. And then you walk up through this wonderful. It's almost like Lord of the Rings. It's a thickly moss carpeted forest. It's absolutely exquisite, but it's hard work. And you get to the top, and then you look across, and you can see in the distance Snaefell. It's absolutely glorious. And then you go downhill again, because after every ascent there's typically a descent, and you walk down by the side of the mast, and the ferns are very deep, and you've got to be very careful because it's a fairly irregular path downwards. And there's some photographs on our website of Juliet's a little shorter than us, and she's not completely covered in ferns.
She's submerged.
She's submerged. And then you walk again back through this beautiful forest and then down to Glen Helen. And it's an app, but we've always done a recce just to make sure the path is still there.
And that's why you're talking about it in this way, in this informed way, because you have done a recce to check this site out. But the walk itself is happening on Sunday.
On Sunday.
And so people can join in this walk and help to raise money. How do they do that?
Well, because of inflation. So when we did the Radnor-Follian, we charged a tenner to join us and £10 every leg. But inflation, sadly, so we've asked people if they donate £15 if they'd register, and again if they'd like to donate £15 every leg, and we can do it through our Just Giving site. And but unlike the Radnor-Follian, which had a huge interest, most people don't have that same feeling for the Warden's Walks. Probably have never heard of them. So, but we're discovering parts of the island we never knew existed.
Well,
which
this is the thing,
fabulous.
And it's a lead walk, so
it's lead, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to get a chance to see these places that they've been so beautifully described by Ron that you wouldn't even know were there, as he's saying. And also, you have informed people along with you who'd be able to give you information about.
Peter's an absolute gem. And the other thing is, we got greyhounds and we've got slower greyhounds, and so there's always a back marker. And periodically, the greyhounds are asked to wait for the rest to catch up. And it's very collegiate. And some mornings it's like crufts. We have so many dogs, so bring your dog. It's a wonderful group of people, and you find yourself in conversation with different people during the walk. It's absolutely fabulous.
And you mentioned that this is one of the sort of moderate walks.
Yes.
Do you have to have a lot of experience of doing
No.
walking?
You need to come dressed for typical Manx summer weather. So bring a light coat and some decent shoes or decent boots. And when we sail, we say to people, look, don't go and buy any kit. just bare stuff, wear stuff that you use for an ordinary walk. And often, so they're in the forests or around the forest trails. So sometimes, even if the weather's not too pleasant, actually you're in the shelter. So you need no special kit.
There's something about being in a forest when it's a bit damp as well.
Absolutely
You get
glorious,
the smell from the ground.
So we're now moving to a level where a bit of fitness is useful. As I said, so that we climb quite a big hill and then drop down to the bottom again. So you need to be fairly steady on your feet.
But it's all right because you can replenish your energy at the end of the walk
by
having
that was
a nice lunch.
Yeah, so the Rada Foiling, we try to have a pub lunch at the end of every leg. We did it over 14 legs. And these, they range from, 4 miles to 10 miles, 2.5 to 3 hours typically. The longer one, the bigger ones are 4. Maybe the hiker's trail is regarded about 7 hours.
So you don't have to have done the previous walks, basically.
No,
you can join in on this one. And how do people sign up for it?
The best thing is to look at our website, and all the details are there. Or otherwise, in extremis, email me, I guess, Ron and Spencer, RONANDSPENCER, @gmail.com.
Well, so I think it sounds like a wonderful thing. And this is on Sunday. And what time's it all starting?
And we meet at Glen Helen for 10 o'clock departure. And we should be back within a couple of hours. And there's a wonderful coffee shop now. And the guy does the best coffee on the island.
It is a lovely place to be. So, I mean, what a lovely way to spend your Sunday. And in the summer of the Isle of Man.
And I should say that it's the last Sunday of every month.
Right, so if you want to you can do this one on Sunday, but then if you can't make this one, you can always join in
and
the
next one. We're going to go do Ramsey Glens on the 25th of August.
Fantastic. And how much money has this raised so far for the Trust?
Do you know, I have to say I don't know, because I don't do the pennies. Johnny will be able to tell us, but Johnny's on his boat in the UK. But we're optimistic, that as I say, we've raised over $1 million now in the life of the Trust. And the need becomes ever greater. And I'm getting old, so I'm hoping to use these services. So I'm paying my taxes.
Ron Spencer, thanks so much.
Manx Radio's 1 to 3, tended by Ramsey Garden Centre. Pick up your new all-season loyalty card in-store today and start collecting reward points.